How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame. How are you all doing? We're back with another FPL video, and today we're going to look at my final draft for my Game Week 31 plus wildcard team. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So as you can see from my wildcard team, I've opted to go with a 3-5-2. Now this is mainly because there's a lot more value in midfield. There are a lot of mid-priced or evenly priced midfielders that are either mispositioned or more attacking than a normal midfielder, and obviously are going to bring a lot of FPL points. You can also see that our team value is decreased by close to 3 million, as we used to be just over 107 million, and that's mainly because the money that we had tied up in the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, and players like that we had to get rid of. And then we also recently have gotten rid of some of our Sheffield United assets, such as Dean Henderson, who can't play this week because he has to play against Manchester United, which is his club that he's being loaned from, and as well as John Lundstrom, who he doesn't seem like he's going to be holding his place after the comments from Chris Wilder. And it just seems like it's just better options to basically take that 0.4 million or 0.3 million from Lundstrom and basically place it somewhere else. And we do have 0.5 million in the bank. Let's start off by looking at the goalkeepers. We have Rui Patricio as our set and forget keeper. I think this is the best strategy with the fewest games left going towards the end of the season. He has great fixtures right up until the end of the season, and Wolves are going to be a team that are going to be vying for that Champions League spot. He's priced at 5.2 million. And it's very reasonable for his price. He's going to rack up some decent saves versus the teams that are going to retain the ball. However, he's just going to be basically a clean sheet waiting to happen. I think he provides maybe slightly better value than maybe some of the defenders, because he could pick up those extra save points here and there versus certain opposition. But overall, I think he's just a very good option, as I found that him, along with a couple other Wolves assets, were probably the best picks for this. For the other goalkeeper, we've gone with just a dud 3.9, and Martin, he's just a backup West Ham goalkeeper. You're just going to play Patricio to the end of the season, much like you would for Pope or even Ben Foster from Watford or Ederson or Allison. So I think he is the best option there for the value that he is currently placed at. Moving on to the defense, we've gone with three more premium style defenders. Firstly, we have Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's a 5.3 defender for Manchester United. They have great fixtures all the way till the end of the season with not real much resistance in those fixtures. Obviously, with Sheffield United losing a few players, their next fixture is a lot better on paper. And with Wan-Bissaka in the choice of over him or Harry Maguire, I chose Wan-Bissaka just because assists from a fullback are more likely to come by than a goal from a centre back, even though Maguire will probably favor the bonus category. But I think Wan-Bissaka can provide us with the points that we are looking for from a fullback in the long term. Next, we have Matt Doherty playing as a right wing back for Wolves, and is obviously going to be very, very good going forward, and will be good defensively as well. So if I get that double clean sheet, it's going to be happy days. And if Doherty happens to get an assist in that game, he could potentially be looking at bonus points, much like he did in their game versus West Ham. And lastly, we don't have to say much about Trent Alexander-Arnold. He does things that most defenders can't do. He's obviously going to get a crazy amount of assists. He might even score a goal, and he has a very good fixture against Crystal Palace, so I just see no reason not to bring him back in, even though we did sell him and we have to pay 0.4 higher. It's just unfortunate that it has to work out that way. Obviously, he's going to be very good going forward, no matter what price you pay for him, because he's going to be better than any midfielder priced in that bracket as well. And then on the bench, we just have Lascelles and Ngakia. Both of them are very cheap defenders, Lascelles being 4.3 and Ngakia being 4.0. Ngakia's played the last couple of games for West Ham, may get rotated out if some people start to come back. But Lascelles is obviously a mainstay in Newcastle's team, and is definitely going to be starting game in, game out for Newcastle. So we at least have a sure shot thing that we can rotate a defender in if need be. Moving on to the midfield, this is where the bulk of our money is going to go. Firstly, we'll start off with the Liverpool man, our captain for this game week in Mohamed Salah. He was obviously rested. He was on the bench for the previous game. However, they didn't choose to play him against Everton so that he could be fully rested and raring to go for Crystal Palace in the potential warm-up game for the title decider in Liverpool versus Man City the following game week. I think that he's definitely going to start in this game. He could do some serious damage potentially, as they are at home, and even without the crowd, Liverpool just have that atmosphere at Anfield. They're going to have obviously the ambient noise and stuff with the Liverpool chants probably, and they'll probably have their theme song, as it were, "You'll Never Walk Alone," before the game starts as well. Moving on, we have the likes of Heung-min Son from Spurs, and he's just going to be a great asset going forward with Spurs' remaining fixtures being quite good. He's also on set pieces since the departure of Christian Eriksen to Inter Milan, and he's going to be on mainly the corners as well as indirect-ish free kicks. If it's more central and from a longer range, it seems like Harry Kane is seemingly going to take them. But Son and Bergwijn were a lot better assets than Harry Kane was, especially against the tougher opposition. Teams that are going to give Spurs any kind of space, really, it's just going to be Son and Bergwijn that's going to be getting the majority of the goals, most likely, as they're going to be in and around at the back or near posts or just basically on a breakaway, going absolutely ballistic. Then we have the Man United double up in midfield. We have Bruno Fernandes, who we had on our Game Week 30 plus team for the transfers that we made. We've also brought in Paul Pogba as well. I think these two are a must start versus Sheffield United. We saw what Pogba did when he came on, how he linked well with Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Bruno getting the penalty, and Pogba obviously getting the assist for being taken down. But they're obviously just two dynamic midfielders, and these two are going to be able to unlock Sheffield United's defense, especially with their injuries and suspensions and the lack of Dean Henderson in net for them, as he cannot play against Manchester United because he's a loanee from them. And it just is going to be a very good combination, I think. I was considering, obviously, the likes of Martial or Rashford, and barring any injury news, I don't think I'm going to swap to either of those two. I think Pogba just provides a little bit more stability in terms of lineup and just overall value, because he can obviously get assists from very long range. He can obviously get shots off from long range, and is going to be getting in the box and is a decent aerial threat when he does get in those positions. And he's less likely to be rotated, mainly because he doesn't play up front. So Martial could potentially be rotated for the likes of Igalo, and Rashford could potentially be reserved if United do go, up a couple of goals potentially, and it's like the 70th or 80th minute. Rashford may be taken off for the likes of Mason Greenwood to potentially get minutes, or maybe Dan James is coming off the bench that game. Whereas I don't think the likes of Pogba and Fernandes will, unless we're really shutting up shop and going super defensive. But I think those two are the best value for money. And lastly, we have Richarlison, who has a very good fixture against Norwich. He's obviously somebody who took a lot of shots in their previous game versus Liverpool, could have potentially scored one, and he just seems like a really good asset at 8.3 million. He's obviously very good in the air as well, which is for somebody who's class as a midfielder and is basically playing out of position as a striker, that has multiple ways of getting points, whether it be being fouled in the box, whether it be taking shots from outside the box, inside the box, on a breakaway, off a set piece. He just seems like excellent value, especially for against Norwich, who just obviously folded over against Southampton and didn't look very good at all. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the forward line. On the bench, we have Eddie Nketiah, who's just going to be our 4.4 enabler, who's going to get minutes for Arsenal, but we're probably not going to play him in most cases, especially with this midfield, at least for the next couple of weeks. And the main two strikers that we're looking at is we have Raul Jimenez from Wolves, who has a great fixture versus Bournemouth, and is going nowhere from my team, unless he obviously gets injured for a significant period of time. And he's our vice-captain for this week. And then lastly, we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, I tried to get a system where I had 4 really strong midfielders and a cheaper midfielder with Aubameyang up top, but I found that it just didn't look right. It just wasn't able to structure itself around it without hindering both the midfield and the defense, just to bring in Aubameyang, who's frankly on a team that's on the downfall, and whether he may score a lot of goals, he may get a decent points total, but I found that the team was a lot more balanced. And also with Dominic Calvert-Lewin around Jimenez, we can keep them for several weeks. We don't have to necessarily play Calvert-Lewin in some of the worst fixtures. We could play Nketiah instead, depending on it, and we still have the likes of Richarlison in there. Or if when the fixtures start to turn a little bit for Everton, we could potentially swap out Richarlison in a straight swap for the likes of Riyad Mahrez, or get Kevin De Bruyne back with a couple of transfers there. Whereas if we had, let's say, Marcus Rashford or Aubameyang up top, we had to guarantee that we would need 2 transfers without taking a hit in order to basically get them out and use their funds by selling them in order to bring in the likes of Kevin De Bruyne or Riyad Mahrez or Raheem Sterling or somebody like that. And I don't think that Jesus is going to be a good value long term, even though Aguero did come off injured today and he may be out for the foreseeable future. Jesus just didn't look all that, good on the field. He just wasn't up to it by the looks of it. Aguero looked injured from the start, basically, and it seemed to be struggling with a knee problem, according to Pep. But overall, I think that the midfield is where the value is going to be, especially for City, and especially now that we see that Mahrez is, going to be this type of player where he's going to get minutes basically in every game, and he's going to do really, really well. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a comment down below as to who you're going to be bringing into your Game Week 31 plus team. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to turn those notification bells on. Also, give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. It's PilotFlame226 on both platforms. Twitter is where we post all of our videos that go live, as well as when we stream live over on Twitch, where we do our Game Week discussions. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.